Hi everyone, my name is Ayeye Samomenu. I am a rising sophomore studying civil engineering. I'm originally from Ghana, but I currently live in South Africa. And today I'm going to present your guide to moving in, which is just some tips and tricks to know when you're moving in, just to get you to know what to expect. Just to keep in mind, these are experiences that relate to an undergraduate freshman who lived on campus. And so this may not be something that everybody will relate to, but some tips definitely are cut across nonetheless. So the first thing to keep in mind when you first land is to definitely have all of your documents ready, your I-20, your passports, just to have a seamless transition. Another thing I would recommend is putting your card on your Uber app slash Lyft whenever you need to get from the airports to campus and so on and so forth. In South Africa and in many other countries, you can pay by cash, but this is not the case in the US. And so that's definitely something I would recommend you keep in mind before you get here. If you don't have access to a debit card just of yet, there are some machines in the airport that allow you to pay cash and receive a card, a one-use card in return. And so this is something you can use. This is something I used when I first landed as well. Speaking of when you first land, I'd also definitely recommend you get your essentials, the toiletries, the soap, the moisturizers, and so on. But I'd also recommend you quickly check for a bed sheet or a small throw pillow. And if you can, perhaps fly with it. That's what I did, because it can be really sad to sleep on a cold mattress your first night here. And so that's definitely something I would recommend you get as soon as possible. Another thing you can check out buying is a shower caddy, which is just something you can store all of your toiletries in, and it allows for easy mobility and so on. So when I actually got to campus, I was given my M card and my room card and a blue bin so that I could move my stuff into my room. In terms of moving, some things I would recommend is signing up for move-in helpers. So it's different student orgs on campus will be doing this. I registered with Heads, which is an organization on campus. And so you can check who is doing helping move-in and sign up because they really do help with setting up, with checking in, with lofting your bed and so on. I'd also recommend reaching out to your roommate in case they can help, but also importantly to ensure that you don't move in at the same time because it can get a little hectic when everybody's moving in at the same time. Speaking of, when setting up your beds and things, there's something called full loft, half loft, and no loft, which is the bed is essentially on the floor. I know most people to have a half loft or full loft because that makes the most sense space-wise. Um, and it allows you to store your storage while still having a comfortable room. Not a lot of people have beds on the floor. It's not very economical. Speaking of, it's also important not to purchase any big things like a fridge or a microwave before you move in. You have to have a sense of space in your room before you actually set out to purchase these things. And so I would recommend moving in, settling down before you set out to purchase. Another thing to make sure you to check out is if you're part of like a living and learning community. I was personally part of Living Arts Engine, and these are really great in helping you find a smaller community. They also often help you move in, but they also have an earlier orientation or registration date. And so you get to come onto campus earlier, you get to be assisted earlier, and you just get used to the campus before everybody else comes in and it becomes too crazy to navigate. Speaking of the campus, Michigan is big. And so it can feel a little overwhelming having to navigate the different things. So once you land and you get acclimatized, I would also recommend you check out different places, check out where your classrooms are, check out how to get to different places, which bus to take, and so on, before you actually need to use them for your classes. I think once you adopt that schedule and you map out which classes, which schedules to go, it can feel very seamless, but you do have to start by mapping it out first before you get used to it. In terms of room decor, you can add a little personalized things. I had photos, I had fairy lights. I would definitely recommend though having adhesive hooks, which is hooks you can stick onto the wall because they're very easy to peel off when you're done. Things to also have are like first aid kits, which are great for like migraines, but more importantly, to have Kleenex slash sanitizers to wipe your bedrooms, to wipe your beds, your tables, and so on. Because although they're clean, you can still see a little bit of dust has gathered. So these are definitely some things I would recommend. Finally, good things to also have are a fan because it can get really hot in the summertime, and some of the dorms don't have AC, unfortunately. It also is good to be able to speak to people in your corridor specifically because they're the people you'd be meeting the most. And you notice a lot of people suggest to leave your doors, but I would also tell you to speak to people who leave their doors open, because you can just show up and be like, oh, hey, my name is Aye, da 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 da. And this is such a good opportunity to make friends, especially the ones that are in your corridors, because you'd be using the bathrooms at the same time as them, you'd be meeting them often. And so this is just a great way to meet new people. And I believe that once you use these tips and you add your own from your first year, you can really enjoy your time at UN and confidently say, go blue. Thank you for listening to my video, and I hope you enjoyed.